Good morning and happy Sabbath, church. Today I'll be reading Fearfully and Wonderfully Made. King David wrote in Psalms 139, verse 13 to 14, For it was you who created my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I will praise you because I have been fearfully and wonderfully made. I have some questions for you. Do you know where your spleen is or what it does? Or do you know the difference between tendons and ligaments? Do you know what your lymph nodes are up to right now? Well, I don't know any of those things. Do you know how many times you blink every day? 500? 1,000? Well, you blink 14,000 times a day. So many times that your eyes are shut for 23 minutes every day. Yet you never have to think about it because every second of every day your body does a huge number of tasks. A quadrillion, a nonillion, a quadrillion. Yes, these are actual numbers. Some numbers vastly beyond imagining, and it doesn't need an instant of your attention. It takes 7 billion atoms to make you. These atoms build and maintain the countless systems and structures needed to give you form and shape, to keep you humming and to make you you. That's a bigger job than you realize. Unpacked, you are enormous. Your lungs smoothed out would cover a tennis court, and the airways within them would stretch from London to Moscow, which takes 31 hours. The length of your blood vessels will take you more than 2 times around the earth. The most remarkable part of all is your DNA. You have a meter of it packed into every cell. And so many cells that if you formed all of your DNA in your body into a single fine strand, it would stretch 10 billion miles to beyond Pluto. There is even enough of you to leave the solar system. It may be surprising to think it, but our skin is our largest organ. It keeps our insides in and bad things out. It gives us our sense of touch. The floppy shell on the side of our heads we normally call the ear, but that is only the outer ear. And its more accurate name is the pinna. On the face of it, the pinna doesn't seem like a very good design. Any engineer starting from scratch would design something more larger and more rigid, more like a satellite dish, and certainly wouldn't let hair to cascade over it. But the fleshy whorls of our outer ear do a surprisingly good job of capturing passing sounds and more than that, working out which direction it's coming from. Although all outer ears function the same way, it seems as if they are as unique as the owner's fingerprints. Most people say if they had to give up one of their senses, they would give up the sense of smell. But smell is more important to happiness and fulfillment than most people realize. People who lose their sense of smell who usually astounded at how much pleasure it takes out of their lives. We depend on smell for interpreting the world, but also for getting pleasure from it. This is especially true of food. The tongue is coated in taste buds, about 10,000 in fact, and these are replaced every 10 days. The tongue gives us the basic attributes of food, whether soft or smooth, sweet or bitter. When we eat, we talk about taste, but what we really mean is flavor, which is taste plus smell. Smell accounts for at least 70% of flavor. When you eat, most of the aroma reaches you not through your nostrils, but by the back staircase, your nasal passage. An easy way to demonstrate how important your sense of smell is to close your eyes, pinch shut your nostrils, and eat a flavored jelly bean. You will instantly be able to detect the sweetness of the jelly bean, but you most likely won't be able to tell what flavor it is. Our whole body and complex systems, our senses of hearing, touch, taste, smell, and sight were designed by God, who loves us and wants us to experience pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Sabbath. Today, I'm going to be reading the creation story. In the beginning, love created the heavens and the earth. 1 John 4 verse 8 says that God is love. So if God is love, then it is love that created the heavens and the earth. We are going to read the story of creation found in Genesis chapter 1. But sometimes we're going to read the word love when we normally read the word God. As we read, have a think about what it means if the world was created by a God of love who carefully planned everything he was making. And have a think about why he did it and what he did. In the beginning, love created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth is formless and void, and darkness is over the surface of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. And love said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and called the darkness night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. And love said, "Let there be an expanse between the waters to separate the waters from the waters." So God made the expanse and separated the waters beneath it from the waters above. And it was so. God called the expanse sky. And there was evening and there was morning the second day. And love said, "Let the waters under the sky be gathered into one place, and so that the dry land may appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then love said, "Let the earth bring forth vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and fruit trees, each bearing fruits with seeds according to their kinds." And it was so. The earth provided vegetation, seed-bearing plants according to their kinds, tree-bearing fruits with seeds according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the third day. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to be reading the creation story. And love said, "Let there be light in the expanse of the sky to distinguish between the day and the night. And let them be signs to mark the seasons and days and years. And let them serve as light in the expanse of the sky to shine upon the earth." Love made great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. and he made the stars as well. Love set these in the expanse of the sky to shine upon the earth and to preside over the day and the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the fourth day. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, go down.
And love said, "Let the waters teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth in the open expanse of the sky." So love created the great sea creatures and every living thing that moves, with which the waters teemed according to their kinds, and every bird of flight after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters of the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." And there was evening and there was morning, the fifth day. And love said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, land crawlers, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds." And it was so. Love made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and everything that crawls upon the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then love said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, to rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock and over all the earth itself, and every creature that crawls upon it." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and every creature that crawls upon the earth." Then love said, "Behold, I have given you every seed-bearing plant on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit contains seed. They will be yours for food. And to every beast of the earth, and every bird of the air, and every creature that crawls upon the earth, everything that has the breath of life in it, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. And God looked upon all that he had made, and indeed, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. And by the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on that day he rested from all his work. Then love blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because on that day he rested from all the work of creation that he had accomplished. Thank you.
Weren't they amazing? In Genesis 2 verse 8, the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. The word Eden means, does anyone know? Pleasure. Man was the crowning act of the creation. Made in the image of God, he was created with the ability to communicate, to love, and to make decisions. And man was created with the senses of sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Could hear you listening. In other words, man was created with the capacity to experience pleasure in every possible way. Smelling freesias and lavender, tasting mangoes and blueberries, touching a kitten's soft fur, feeling the weightlessness of water, hearing geckos and waterfalls and birds, seeing sunflowers and sunsets and giraffes, experiencing love and affection between people, and friendship and communion with God. These are the kinds of pleasures our souls crave. All the pleasures that Satan has constructed for us are an attempt to steal from us the real thing. Our souls crave real pleasure in a real world with real people and a very present God. Psalm 36, 7-9 says, "How precious is your loving kindness, O God! Therefore the children of men put their trust under the shadow of your wings. They are abundantly satisfied with the fullness of your house, and you give them drink from the river of your pleasures." Psalm 16:11 says, "You will show me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore." The pleasures God gives us are described as pleasures forevermore. Compare this to the pleasures described in Hebrews 11. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to endure ill treatment with the people of God than to enjoy the passing pleasures of sin. The pleasures that Satan holds out to us are temporary pleasures that end up making us feel much worse. They are forgeries that never, ever satisfy. C.S. Lewis observed that sin is an ever-increasing craving for an ever-diminishing pleasure. So far we've said that God is love and that he created us because he is love and wanted us to exist. And he did everything he could to provide ways for us to experience pleasure in every possible way. So this now begs the question, if God is love and only wants us to experience genuine happiness, then why did he put a tree in the Garden of Eden? That if Eden would cause a terrible consequence that would have come upon our world. The thing is though, without that tree, Adam and Eve had no option but to live exactly how God wanted them to live. And if they had no option, Satan would claim that God had created them to do his bidding. They were slaves. He would claim they were not truly free because they had no choice other than to live God's exact way. But with the tree, Adam and Eve had a choice. God gave them an abundance of trees from which they could eat. They could choose to accept these were his design for their abundant happiness, or they could choose to accept an alternative story about God, one that questions whether God is truly good, whether he really does have our best interests at heart. And unfortunately, we know how the story goes. The world God created for us to enjoy became the territory of the enemy of God, and the whole creation of God has suffered as a result. Does anyone know of David Attenborough? Anyone know of David Attenborough? So he's not a Christian, and he's well known for his passion and style and his stunning native documentaries. And he's often sent letters by Christians who ask why on earth he can't just admit there is an amazing designer beyond all this creation. And in a 2008 interview, the reason that David Attenborough gives is that the people who say those things always quote beautiful things like orchids and hummingbirds and butterflies and roses, but he says, I always have to think too of the little boy sitting on the banks of the river in West Africa, who has a worm boring through his eyeball, turning him blind before he is 5 years old. And I reply and say, well, presumably the God you speak about created the worm as well, and I find that baffling to credit a merciful God, that action, and therefore it seems to me safer to share things that I know to be truthful and factual, and allow people to make up their own mind about the mortalities or indeed the theologies of this thing. But if you believe in a fallen world, a world that is claimed by Satan, the one who seeks only to kill, steal and destroy, there is no conundrum. Because in creation, in the roses, the orchids, the design of hummingbirds and caterpillars that turn into butterflies, and all the other amazing things, we see evidence of Eden. And in the thorns and the thistles, and the killing of animals by other animals, and in the worm that bores into kids' eyeballs, we see evidence of the fall of Eden lost. We know that in our innermost being, this is not how things were meant to be. In Genesis 3, straight after the story of creation and the story of our fall, we're given the promise of a deliverer. He would come to reveal the character of God. He worked against those elements that were never meant to be part of our world. He healed the blind and deaf, the lame and the dumb. He declared that he was the resurrection and the life, and he resurrected dead people out of compassion for their families. And Jesus too suffered with us and for us and on behalf of us. Ultimately he was pierced for our transgressions. Jesus was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. We have every reason to believe that God has our best interests at heart in all of life's happenings. He created a perfect Eden home with a multitude of pleasures for our enjoyment, and we see evidences that in our fallen world, despite its imperfections, that there are many things in nature and in life that God has created to make our hearts glad. We know God is totally for us and wants what is best for us because he went to uttermost depths he could go, even to the extent of dying for us, even the death of a cross. He promised he is coming back for us, and John saw a vision and recorded this in Revelation 21. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. There will be his people, and God among him will be with them and be their God." If you want to put up on the screen, Jason, there's the verse we read. Sorry. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. And the final page of the book of the great controversy says, "There immortal minds will contemplate with never-failing delight the wonders of creative power, the mysteries of redeeming love. All the treasures of the universe will be open to the study of God's redeemed. Unfettered by mortality, they wing their tireless flight to worlds afar, worlds that thrill with the sorrow and spectacle of human woe and rang with songs of gladness at the tidings of ransomed soul. With utterable delight, the children of earth enter into the joy and wisdom of unfallen beings. They share the treasures of knowledge and of understanding gained through the ages upon contemplation of God's handiwork. With undimmed vision they gaze upon the glory of creation, suns and stars and systems, all in their appointed order circling the throne of deity. Upon all things, from the least to the greatest, the Creator's name is written, and in all are the riches of his power displayed. The great controversy is ended. Sin and sinners are no more. The entire universe is clean. One pulse of harmony and gladness beats through the vast creation. From him who created all flow life and light and gladness. Throughout the realms of illimitable space, from the minutest atom to the greatest world, all things, animate and inanimate, in their unshadowed beauty and perfect joy, declare that God is love. I'd like to bow with me as we say a prayer. Father, thank you for your blessings. Thank you for you being an amazing God. Thank you for your plan of creation, the plan of salvation. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.